Hello, I'm Laura Wild, and I want to share my favorite books with you today. So I have 4 classic books that I've loved for a long time, and I have a new book that you probably have just now begun to hear about because it's just come on the scene. So first, my favorite book, written in 1960, is Psychocybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. This book is all about self-image. It was published in 1960 when self-image wasn't really a thing. And Dr. Maxwell Maltz was he was a plastic surgeon, and he noticed that he would give people pretty faces when they thought they were ugly, and they still thought they were ugly. So he really showed us, and was one of the first authors to show us that our self-image comes from within, not from how we look in the mirror necessarily. So then I have The Pathway of Roses. This is like a spiritual, special book. I love this book because you can kind of pick any page and it'll just soothe you and give you what you need for the day. Pathway of Roses by Christian Larson. This book was written in 1912. You know, I'll just open a page. Let's see, pick a page. Let's just, any page. All right, here we go. When we begin to lay up treasures in heaven, we obtain the peace, the joy, the contentment, the health, the strength, the wisdom, the power, and the life we so greatly desire. There you go, see? All right, Power versus Force. Written in 1995 by Dr. David Hawkins. He's also a psychiatrist, and Dr. David Hawkins has the very famous map of consciousness where he shows you how if you can vibrate at a higher frequency, you can be a better human. You can change the world. And he also believes that we can know the truth about something by using muscle testing. This book is really famous. It's a little bit of a heady read, but you can skip a couple of the early chapters if you want to and just check out the ones you love. Power in Sports is chapter 12, my personal favorite. And as a matter of fact, in my time working with NBA athletes and coaches, which I've been doing now for about 5 years, I often use the theories underlying in this book. So Power versus Force, Dr. David Hawkins. There are many authors who have kind of gotten famous talking about power versus force. And this is my first YouTube video, so we're just going for it right now, all right? And power versus force is the idea of like you can raise your frequency, you can have a higher vibration. So when you hear people talking about that, they got it from this guy. No one's original, but this guy's got the original stuff. And then my third favorite book, is Think and Grow Rich. This book is great because it's a blueprint for achieving wealth and for having wealth and for money. And so this book was written in 1937, and Napoleon Hill actually did a bunch of interviews with people and learned really what it took to be rich. So he kind of gives you some secrets in here. And if you don't read this book, you're kicking yourself in the foot because honestly, this book will, jet set you to wealth. This is one of those books that everyone who's wealthy will talk about. So when you hang in those circles, you learn things like, this is the book you gotta read. I gave the copy of this book to my kid when he was 12. He still has the same copy. And so this book, this particular version has a foreword by Steve Harvey, but you can buy it as a paperback for like $9, and I have like 3 copies. I love it so much. All right, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And then the 5th book, I can count, I promise I can count, but right now I'm having trouble. A lot of pressure to like go on YouTube and share stuff, but I love sharing, and I love books, as you can tell. I had my bookshelf custom made in my wall, onto the wall, that is California redwood, and I have my big screen TV put in the middle of it so I could sit there and look at my books and watch Netflix. So it's a great combination for me because I love movies and film, but I also love my books. All right. 10X is easier than 2X. So my business coach, John Assaraf, recommended this. It's by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Dan Sullivan has been a marketing guru. He's been around for a long time. The theory of this book is basically that, and you should read this book all of them, because they are really good. I'm just giving like a sentence or two, right? So he basically talks about how making incremental changes is a lot harder than making the quantum leaps to 10X your business. And at first it may seem counterintuitive, but when you read the book, it makes so much sense. I'm sold. I'm doing 10X all the way. That's the way I'm going. I'm going to build my business. I'm going to 10X it. Being an entrepreneur, for me lately, has been a daily grind. It's been a struggle. And yet I'm pushing through. I began to work with John Assaraf, which is a big dream of mine because he's like, an elite coach. I mean, coming up with the money to work with John Assaraf was something that took me a while to get to. So I'm really proud of myself, and I'm going to 10X it because I'm reading, I'm doing all I need to do, and you can too. I'm Laura Wild.